What happened after you slept with your best friend? My best friend and I had a terrible drunken encounter. He was so drunk he couldn't get it up. He was an aggressively bad kisser and he went down on me for a while and I don't actually remember what it was like. At that point, I had been in unrequited love with him for 4 years. Things were awkward afterwards, and then I met another guy and we started dating. My friend and I hung out one night and he apologized for being weird and said he wished he could take me to bed and hold me all night. I said no because I was seeing this guy. Fast forward many years, we are now both in very long-term relationships with other people. I love my husband and he really is my best friend now. My friend's partner is gorgeous and amazing and I freaking love her, and she is perfect for him. But I still wonder what could have been if I had said yes all those years ago and trained him how to do it right. Story 2. We had gotten drunk to celebrate me getting into med school, and 8 years of repressed sexual tension just poured out in a single night. The next 3 days, we were both in a panic daze. I thought I had lost my best friend for the best sex of my life, and I couldn't stop thinking it wasn't worth it. The sex was mind-blowing, but no one made me feel as safe or as happy, and I would trade anything to keep that. He asked, would it really be so crazy if we tried dating? We moved in together a month later. We've been together now for 7 years, got engaged, saving up for a house and wedding. He's still my best friend. Story 3. We did a friends with benefits thing for about 3 years. Whenever we were both single, we'd hook up. She lived about 300 miles away. We used to sort of dance around the possibility of actually dating, even getting married, but we never pulled the trigger. The distance was too much, I think. We loved each other very much. Got to the point where whether it was platonic or romantic love was difficult to tell. And weirdly, neither of us was in a rush to figure it out. I guess we both had faith it would work itself out as it was supposed to. And it did. She met a great guy, dated him, and married him. I performed the ceremony. After it was over, at the reception, I gave her a hug and she kissed my cheek and smiled a little flirtatiously. We both knew it was the last time she'd give me that look, and said, "Thanks for marrying me." It was one of the most purely loving, intimate moments of my life. We are still close. Not like before, but we still love each other deeply, and we always will. That love just has a more clearly defined label now, and it's a label we both respect and cherish. So yeah, it's not always a sad ending. Sometimes it's just a weird and beautiful intermission. Story 4. Best friends for 7 years, and we both just went through really nasty breakups where we were cheated on. Ended up having sex when he came over at like 4 a.m. one night. We ended up sleeping together daily for weeks after that. I ended up pregnant, and to be honest, I was terrified. I wasn't sure if he'd be willing to stick around given the circumstances. Turns out he was excited. Having a family was all he ever wanted. We didn't start dating immediately. I didn't want us to be together solely for the fact that we were having a baby. I wanted to make sure there was an actual connection there. In October, after months of basically living together, we made it official. Baby boy is due any day now, and we couldn't be any happier. Having him come over that night in June was the best decision I ever made. Story 5. I dated her, helped deliver her daughter, raised her daughter as mine, and don't regret it. Bought a house, moved in together. She began hating being a mother and staying at home all the time. Started cheating with coworkers, got exposed by her 2-year-old daughter. Please don't even ask how. I packed my shit and left immediately. Now she makes TikToks about how shitty I am to this day. Yet the only thing I miss about that relationship is being a father to that baby. Now she's the reason I don't think I'll ever date a woman with kids or are pregnant. Nothing against those beautiful women, but I'm honestly traumatized because I still miss that kid every day. Story 6. Just celebrated our second Valentine's Day together / been together a year and a half? 2.5? I forget. Feels like we have been together a lifetime, because in some ways we have. Knew him since 5th grade, became good friends with him in 10th, but didn't end up a couple for another after a year or two after college. I believe he always wanted to be with me, but I never knew I would feel the same way. We grew up as friends and never thought we could be compatible as lovers. and thought of something happening and losing a friend so dear. Little did I know what I was missing. Though I do understand that we both needed that time for personal growth. Life works in mysterious ways sometimes, oftentimes beautiful. Story 7. It ruined everything. We don't talk anymore. I'm a gay man with a girl best friend since high school. This happened 7 years ago. I guess I was a little fluid during that period of my life when it happened, but totally prefer only guys now. I broke up with my boyfriend who was cheating on me and occasionally physically hurts me in public. She was finally separated from her toxic husband. I had a fist fight with this dude one time, and he hates my guts and forbid her from seeing me. She became a single mom, and she was barely having any sex with anyone at that time cause of juggling work and taking care of her daughter. One night, she was insisting on sleeping over at my place, since her kid was at her parents' and she didn't want to be alone. I was like, yeah, sure. Cool. We ordered dinner, watched Friends, looked at our HS yearbook, reminisced, having wine. Probably more than we were supposed to. When it was time for bed, I told her that she can sleep on my bed, and I'll just sleep on the couch like always. But for some reason, she was very persistent on making me sleep on the same bed as it had enough room, and I eventually agreed. She played footsies under the sheets with me on my bed. It was kind of awkward at first because I wasn't responding and pretending to sleep, but her hands were hovering on my chest and going down to my crotch and into my sweatpants. I don't know if it was the alcohol, her hands traveling to the base of my dick, or what, but she looked so pretty when I glanced at her, and she just let out this naughty but sexy smile. Ick. I caved in and kissed her. We just made out so much, then one thing led to another, and we had sex. It was actually good. We kept hanging out for a few more weeks, and I was developing some feelings for her. I asked her if she wanted to give it a try. I even thought to myself, I'll be fully ready to take care of her and her toddler if it worked out. But when I poured my heart out and confessed to her, she just ghosted me. I was crying for a month. Found out she has a new husband now and a second kid. They also transferred to my city and lives at the street next to mine. Story 8. Ended up dating for 3 years, had a nasty breakup but remained friends, hanging out almost every day, sharing every ups and downs, thought we'd be each other's future kids' godparents, and always be there for each other no matter what. He got slowly very distant and cold, then cut me completely out of his life. We used to think we had a much deeper connection than just a romantic kind, and not a breakup, new partners, or anything in the whole universe could tear us apart. We were inseparable. We even looked like each other. And yet, here I am, knowing almost nothing about his new life. Should I miss him so freaking much? Story 9. Well, she initiated it one night when we were drunk, and both of us were going through breakups. We both enjoyed it, and we kept doing it off and on for most of the year. Then she started to want a relationship. I didn't because I wanted other things out of life that I couldn't have with her. So things became awkward, and she stopped talking to me. A few years later, I thought about reconnecting with her, but I had been drinking that night and felt that it would be rude to drunk text her after so long. So I figured I would wait and do it later in the week. She died the next day. That was almost 6 years ago now. I miss her every day. Story 10. My best friend is a lesbian. We've been best friends for over 13 years. We've always been flirty and touchy. It started with occasionally making out here and there. Sometimes we take showers together and sleep in each other's beds after a long night out. Occasionally we'd have a threesome with another girl, but we would each have sex with the other girl, but no actual sex between us. After a few years of this, we moved to different cities. One time when she was visiting, we woke up, and she started kind of grinding against my morning wood, and that led to full-on sex. We both agreed it was good and stayed friends. We talk about every now and then. It's never weird or anything. It's just what we do sometimes. She says every now and then she gets a dick craving and lets me know, and we work out a trip to see each other. Still best friends to this day, and a couple times a year we have great sex.